The Detroit Red Wings have found their next star, as one prospect in particular is turning heads around the hockey world, not only for his offensive ability, but his physicality and overall game. And he is looking to take that next step. We're going to break that down, as well as multiple other updates on the Red Wings, as it's poised to be a very busy summer for GM Steve Yzerman. We're going to break that all down in this episode of Red Wings Digest. But before we get into all of that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We've noticed that about 85% of you guys who watch these videos on the regular are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the Red Wings, go down below, hit that free subscribe button. We're also on every other platform. You can listen to us wherever you find your podcast, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff is down below in the description. But Mark, let's waste no more time. Let's get right into it. Carter Bear has won the WHL championship, and not only won as just, being on the team as a result of being on the team. No, he was an instrumental part of this win. He was fantastic, and they crushed their opponents, the Prince Albert Raiders, in 5 games. Now, again, he had a fantastic regular season. We've touched on him already a little bit on the channel, but a very solid playoff run, 22 points in 18 games. Fantastic run. Mark, what did you see from Carter Bear during this playoff run? Because he was just super impressive.
First, I want to say it's awesome to see the Silvertips are going to their first Memorial Cup with this team as well. But seeing Carter Bear, I got to watch the last 2 games of this series versus the Prince Albert Raiders. Carter Bear saying that this kid was a good part of the team is an understatement. He was dominant on every aspect. You seen in the intro video, he was throwing hits on players. He was going out. Of course, he didn't register a goal in that final game, but he was ringing it off the post. The shot is lethal. And Darius, just looking at the numbers he's been putting up in the playoffs, 23 points in 18 games. In the regular season, 77 points. This was a guy that, of course, dropped in the draft after the partial tear in his Achilles last season. But seeing what he's doing, I don't think he's missed a step since returning to this team. And like I said, looking at this guy, a lot of people might say, hey, is this going to be a franchise guy? Does the Bears shit in the woods? Yes, he's going to. This is a guy that's going to continue his dominance, work his way in. But Darius, the big thing is looking at the future of this team. But before we get too far into that, let me ask you something before we get too far in the news. Have you ever Googled your name? Because if you haven't, it's actually crazy how much of your personal data is just sitting online, from your address, your family details, your phone number. It's all just sitting online.
And that's exactly why we use Incogni here at Red Wings Digest. Incogni helps you protect your privacy by removing your personal data from websites which are constantly collecting and selling your information without you even knowing. And what really sets Incogni apart is their unlimited plan. It's the most comprehensive and powerful data removal plan available, and it lets you submit an unlimited number of removal requests. So even if your info is on random sites, Incogni's privacy experts will go after it for you.
All you have to do is find where your data is exposed, send them the link, and they'll handle the rest. We're talking 420 plus data brokers to put custom removals beyond that. We're talking 420 plus data brokers plus custom removals beyond that. Honestly, in today's world, protecting your data isn't optional anymore.
Take back your personal data with Incogni today using promo code RedWingsDigest and visit Incogni.com/RedWingsDigest to get 60% off an annual plan. And thank you once again to Incogni for sponsoring this video and keeping your personal data safe.
Now, of course, looking at Carter Bear, there's going to be a lot of questions. Does he go pro next year? I think it's without a doubt. This guy is going to make the jump going into the Detroit system, but it's going to get interesting when you're starting to look at this guy and his possible impact. Of course, in that final game, you can see 5 shots, a +1, 2 PIMs, a 7-2 win. This was a dominant. It was a lopsided win. The first half of the game, I believe it was 3-0. The shots were 20-5 at one point. Of course, they have Dupont, a guy that's looking like a projected first overall pick going into next year. But Carter Bear has slowly made the hockey world realize time after time the Memorial Cup's going to do it even more. He is not a one-trick pony. He has the shot. We could see that he ran over a guy in Daxton Rudolph, which is funny enough projected to go to the St. Louis Blues. So we like to see, of course, that team take a guy and then our guy run him over. But Darius, I want to ask you, and fans, let us know in the comments too, is there a world where we see Carter Bear maybe even make that push to make it straight into the Detroit lineup, or would you rather see a year in the AHL?
think that is a large jump at this point. It's a lot. It's a lot without that much experience at the pro level, which he doesn't have. He's never signed an ATO or anything like that. So I think it's a significant jump. That's not to say he's not like he's a great player, right? Fantastic player, putting up great numbers in junior, putting up great numbers in the playoffs. Like you said, the physicality, wasn't shying away from that. You know, he dropped in the draft a little bit, like a little bit. He was still 13th overall, right? Like without that injury, obviously would have been, you know, a really high draft pick in last year's draft. And he's showing that, you know, it was just, you know, something that isn't going to hinder him. He is going to be that guy. And again, he's very impressive. Now, he is jumping pro next year, like you outlined. A lot of people might be like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, he's a late birthday. I know he was drafted last year, but he has a late birthday. And the CHL is also working on that weird agreement, by the way, to keep 19-year-olds in the CHL. I think the CHL is going to become a much younger league where a lot of the older players will graduate to the NCAA and then to the NHL. And it'll almost work like, you know, the NBA kind of has their setup as well. So I think eventually in a couple years, that's what that's going to look like. But anyway, besides the point, it's a fantastic player. And I can't wait to see what he does at the pro level. But I think for me, it's a Grand Rapids thing next year to start the year. I mean, listen, anything can happen in training camp. And if this guy offers you something that nobody else is, you need that on the team. You literally need guys to offer you stuff and play with a purpose. Everybody needs to play a specific role. So if he comes in the camp and you're like, hey, he's doing something, whether it's goal scoring, whatever it is, that nobody else is doing, and he can offer us something here on the team, yes, I can see him making the team as currently constructed because Steve Yzerman's got to get to work, man. Just a bunch of bodies, just a bunch of jerseys at this point. We've been talking about it. So if he doesn't get to work in a big way this offseason, I could see potentially a path for him to jump to the NHL, but I think it might be a bit too early. And for him to go to the AHL is not a bad thing. Continue his development. At some point, he's going to be a solid, and not just a solid NHLer, he will be a goal scorer for this team.
And I think a big thing is too, there's a path where he joins the AHL, he starts a dominant, and maybe as one of the first call-ups, there's no point to put him into the bottom six of this team. It feels like a middle six or top six role, especially with someone with his elite talent, of course, offensively. Physicality might not translate as well. Of course, you're playing against guys that are 16, 17, 18, compared to a 35-year-old man skating around on the ice. So, of course, the physicality might take some time. But, Darius, I do want to kind of dive into this quickly. Looking at the draft, of course, we don't have a first-round pick. It was a part of the trade to get Justin Falk on the roster. But with this roster now, looking at the possibilities with a second-round pick, there's one guy in particular. Of course, right now, projections have Detroit not getting him because he would fall to the Kings. But Victor Plante, a guy that's brothers with someone we know very well over here in Max. What is your thoughts on this draft? Of course, draft boards change constantly. Victor could end up going 12th overall. We don't know how GMs think around this time, but do you think there's a world where you go out and get a player, or do you think this could be a pick where we see Stevie Y say, hey, we want to add, so maybe that second round pick is going to be something he offers up quite a bit?
Well, it's interesting. These are just projections at the end of the day. There's a real world that he does fall to the Red Wings and they get to pick him. And it's funny enough that Max wants to stay in school next year because he wants to play with his family, right? So funny enough, you know, if they end up together in the Red Wing system, that would be awesome. That would be best case scenario. So that would be awesome. There's another name on that list too that in Adam Valentini, you know, I had an opportunity to watch him play too. That's going to be a very good player. So I think you're still going to get a very good player here with whatever, player you end up picking here in the second round. It is unfortunate that you don't have your first round pick because, of course, St. Louis has that pick. But Justin Falk, you have him for next year too. I don't think that's a bad thing. But yeah, I think it's kind of ironic that, again, you know, Plante is going back to school to play with his family. What if his family then joins him in the same organization? I think that would be a pretty cool opportunity. But the Red Wings have a lot of work to do this summer, whether it is, you know, retooling using some draft picks, which they have a lot of draft capital, drafting the players, and then ultimately who is playing center for this team next season. Obviously, we have an idea of who's still here, but do you lengthen the lineup a little bit? Do you go out and make a big splash? What are you doing with some of the wingers? Is a guy like MBN ready to take on a full-time NHL role? A lot of questions that we're going to try and have answers for this summer. But special thank you to Incogni once again for sponsoring this video. Check out incogni.com/Red Wings Digest. Use promo code Red Wings Digest for 60% off an annual plan. I just signed up the other day and it's very easy to use. You can post your own links there, making sure that your personal data, your personal information, that's pretty much everywhere at this point, wherever you put your email, is taken care of and safe. as well. So thank you to Incogni for that. Check out the link in the description. But Mark, it's going to be a very interesting summer for the Red Wings. But one thing's for sure, the future, in terms of some of the prospects they have, looking pretty good.